You said, quote, assault weapons may be banned because they're extraordinarily dangerous and are not appropriate for legitimate self-defense purposes, close quote. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Just to clarify there, I was local counsel. Our Supreme...
Yeah, but you wrote the brief. Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
Senator Kennedy, actually, I did not write the brief. The brief was written by...
You signed the brief, though, didn't you?
Correct. I signed the brief.
You sign a brief, you're testifying to the court that everything in it is true, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So
they're your words in terms of the court, right?
Well, you're correct, Senator Kennedy.
Okay.
I would never sign...
Tell me what you meant by assault weapons.
So I am not a gun expert.
Oh, my goodness. I will point out that Senator Kennedy is a lawyer. That man, Louisiana Senator John Kennedy, joins me now for a rare but awesome Newsmax interview. Senator, welcome to The Balance. Great to have you, sir. So how about these lefties flooding the country with unvetted illegals, at the same time putting a full court press on to take our Second Amendment rights away? Your thoughts?
Well, Eric, a couple of weeks ago, President Biden gave a State of the Union address. He could have saved his breath and not wasted the American people's time. The State of the Union can be seen very clearly at the grocery store and at the southern border. The southern border is an open, bleeding wound. President Biden has invited into our country, since he's been president, I think about 8.6 million people. That's 4 Nebraskas. And we do not have the slightest idea, not the slightest idea, who they are. Now, there are one or two things going on, Eric. You don't have to be an astrophysicist to figure this out. Either the person that President Biden has put in charge of the border is not qualified to manage a hamburger stand, or President Biden believes in open borders. I think it's the latter. Nobody's this incompetent. The Biden administration believes in open borders, and he thinks that vetting people at the border is racist. It's not racist. It's prudent. Every country in the world does it.
You know, Senator, I watched that back and forth with you and that wannabe judge. First of all, did you torpedo her judgeship? Is that off the table, or is she actually I mean, for someone, you're a lawyer, for someone not a judge, not to understand if you sign a document, doesn't matter who produced it, you're attesting to its validity and your own belief in it, right?
Well, she should, yes, and she should be torpedoed. That doesn't mean she will be. Most of my Democratic colleagues who are paying attention understand that some, you might even say many, of President Biden's appointees, they're not qualified to judge a pie contest. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to vote against them, because Senator Schumer has a tight control over the Democrats in the Senate. If Senator Schumer told his Democratic senators to join the Taliban, they'd say, where's the line, Chuck? We'll do whatever you say. But the lady that you're referencing is not qualified to be on the Court of Appeal. She has the worst record in her circuit for deciding cases in a timely manner. She's an ideologue first and a lawyer second. She actually testified today that when she was in private practice, she voluntarily filed a brief in court to get rid of assault weapons. But when I asked her what's an assault weapon, she said, I don't know.
I don't know, yeah.
I mean, it takes your breath away.
You know what took my breath away, Senator? Also in Illinois, what's going on with the judicial system in Illinois? Illinois District Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman, get this, an Obama appointee, by the way, has ruled a federal ban on undocumented immigrants owning firearms is unconstitutional. In other words, she's putting firearms in illegals. Meanwhile, the rest of the left is trying to pull firearms away from people, protecting ourselves against this inflow of illegals and the crime that's following them.
Foreign nationals who are in our country illegally are not Americans. And they have They do not have the same rights as Americans. They do not have the right to own a firearm. In my opinion, they do not have the right that Americans have, for example, in terms of search and seizure. They're in our country illegally. I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying that illegal immigration is illegal. Duh. And most Americans understand that. If you're trying to abide by our laws, our immigration laws under President Biden, and you're filling out the forms and being vetted and waiting in line patiently, you're a chump. That's the message that Joe Biden has sent. All you got to do is go hire a cartel, give them a few $1,000s, take you to the border, and you swim across and jump the fence. Who's going to wait in line patiently when they can do that? I mean, and look, this border crisis is man-made, and the man's name is Joe Biden.
And we talked about the hundreds of thousands that they're flying over the border. We have no idea where they're going. Senator, you are a lawyer as well, which is fortunate because what's dominating the news cycle right now are Donald Trump's legal issues, the lawfare, being forced on him to get him to not run for president in 2024. I notice you support Donald Trump. You endorsed Donald Trump recently. Good for you. Talk to us a little bit about these cases specifically. Well, let's do this. The Fani Willis case in Georgia, this has been bubbling up. Take a listen to what Trump had to say about Fani or Fani Willis.
And not only that, all these local cases like Fani. It's spelled Fanny. It's spelled Fanny like your ass, right, Fanny?
He said, he says it like it is, sir.
Well, Eric, one of the reasons that America, in my opinion, is the greatest country in all of human history, and one of the reasons we're so wealthy is because of our stable judicial system. That's why foreign capital flocks to the United States, because they know if they get in a legal dispute, they'll get a fair shake in our court system. No one is above the law, but nobody is beneath it. And President Biden and his minions have politicized the judicial system. In prosecuting one of their political opponents right before an election, that's the sort of thing that's done in countries whose Powerball jackpot is 287 chickens and a goat. That's not America. We don't do that. Our judicial system is supposed to be above the law, and they meaning President Biden and the loon wing of his party, but they've broken the ceiling though. These prosecutions of a political opponent, they may be the first, but they won't be the last. There are thousands of ambitious prosecutors across the country. Some of them are Republicans, and this is a dangerous, dangerous precedent.
Can you imagine, Senator, when you're going to law school, there would be a day where a victimless crime, like what's going on in New York, that the prosecutor could and the judge could slap $450 million fine on a guy, knowing very well that no one in their right mind, there's not a person in this country likely that could come up with $500 million like that. Most wealthy, really rich people, they have their assets tied up, as does Trump. I mean, it basically prohibits his opportunity to a fair appeal.
Well, I followed the New York case pretty closely. The prosecutors up there, the Democratic prosecutors who promised if they got elected, they would prosecute President Trump. They say that he didn't tell his bankers the truth about his properties when he borrowed the money. So the bankers came and testified, and you know what they said? They said, "We don't care. We didn't take his word on his application. We did our own analysis." And then the lawyer said, "Well, bankers, did you lose any money?" And they said, "Nope." So you've got a victimless crime here with no damage, and the New York judge and the prosecutors want to take basically $500 billion from the Trump organization.
$500 billion, yeah.
Now,
half a billion.
I think he'll probably half a trillion.
Yeah. Half a billion.
Half a billion. I said trillion. Half a billion.
Yes, sir.
I think that he has an excellent chance of winning on appeal, but he can't appeal if he can't post a bond. And who can post a bond that size?
Not many people in the world. Senator, before you get the great senator from the great state of Louisiana, filled with bayous and neighborhoods. Senator, you know what the loneliest bayou in the world is?
What?
By yourself. My friend, I just had to get it out. I had to do it. I've been thinking about that all day. Feel free to use that at your next cocktail party. Senator John Kennedy, thank you for joining us.
I'll do it, Eric.